Hello, hello. Today we are going to learn how to use AI to remove some people. So I had a client of mine that wanted to, she did a sports photo, as you can see here, and these two in the yellow were not supposed to be in the photo. Somehow they ended up in there and she needed them removed. And then we have a gap to fill, right? So we needed to put this gentleman over here is what she requested. So this is the final product that we came up with, or that I came up with, I guess. And I used AI to make this all happen. And so I'm going to show you how to do that right now. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to unlock our background layer. And I need to put... I need to take these two out, first of all. So, and some of what I do here is trial and error to see what's going to work and what won't. So just bear with me here. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to use the quick selection tool. And I'm just going to zoom in here and I'm going to select, no, I don't like that at all. I am going to... I'm going to try the object selection tool. And this gets a little tricky because I want to make sure that I keep his hair as good as I can. And I think that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to select this boy right below him because he is something I don't want to damage in the photo. So by selecting him and putting him on a new layer, and it doesn't have to be the whole him, it can just be the top half because that would be the part that would be, damaged. We are going to have to remove feet here at the bottom layer later, but that's easily taken care of in a smaller capacity. So I think what I'm going to do is, so I have him selected, but I have too much. I have part of his shirt and not enough hoodie here. So I'm going to go back to the quick selection tool and click the add button, and I'm going to add in his hoodie to the selection. And again, anything that's not touching what we're going to remove, like where this guy's arm is, oh no, that is the player's arm that we're going to remove. Okay. I was going to say it does not have to be perfectly selected. It's just around where we want to preserve the detail that when we're editing and or removing, it's within the marching ants so that we don't destroy any of that data. Now we have extra on top here that we're going to go click on the minus sign there, and we're just going to get rid of that. And it's going to be a little difficult with his spiky hair to keep all of the hair exactly the way it is. But we'll try our best to, keep it selected. And we can refine that selection later. So I'm going to go Command or Control J will give us a new layer of this boy that we selected. Now that new layer, if we are working on this bottom layer, that new layer will keep him intact as he is. So now I'm also going to select this boy because we really only need to select his arm, but we just don't want to lose his arm. So we're going to select him, and his selection is just fine. We just want to make sure that this arm is covered. So then I'm going to go Command or Control J again, and that gives me a new layer of this boy. And then we're going to select our background layer again, and I think I'm going to select this layer, or this boy. And I'm going to maybe add this gentleman to the same selection. And then, because his arm is going to cover this boy's arm. So I'm going to do that. Go back to the quick selection tool, and the plus is already selected. I'm just going to take out those marching ants and add this guy's arm to the selection. Sometimes it goes over, so then you just go to the minus and pull it back in to where you want it to be. All right, that looks pretty decent. I might actually add in this sweater, and it's gonna give me this huge selection here, so I'm gonna just bring that back if I can. I don't need it to be that big. Sometimes the contrast between the lines that you're trying to select is just not enough, and the automatic selector just doesn't know what to do with itself. I think that's pretty good. We're not going to go do anything up here for the most part. Okay, so now we have those selected, and I'm going to go again, Command or Control J, and create those onto layers. And I'm going to just select all 3 of those layers, and I'm going to put them in a group by pressing Command or Control G. And I'm just going to label that group. I don't even know what I'm going to label it. Indestructibles, maybe? Anyways, just something so you know what it is. All right, so I know that those are the top layers of this, and it cannot be, as long as they're sitting, as long as we don't do anything to them as they are, they're not going to destroy anything that we change here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to that bottom layer, and I'm going to go back to the object selection tool, and I'm going to click on this dude again, and this dude, and make sure that they're basically all selected. Even his foot got selected. That's really interesting. Okay, so I'm going to go to quick selection tool, and I just want to make sure that we get all of his arm. Oh, sorry. Click on the plus button, make sure we're adding. And this selection is going to be a little bit hard because, again, the contrast is going to make it so that the selector doesn't know. I really want to get this in there, but we're going to have to go back in later and fix that because it'll take less time than trying to get the selector to select all that. But anyways, we've got the most part of that. And then I want to go in and add this little bit of yellow shirt. Now, again, you could go back in and just fix it later like we're going to do the other one. And actually, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to leave it like that so I can show you how to fix it. And then we're going to go to the add, and we're going to take these little pieces out here. And it's okay if this extra is selected here. Oh, we got that piece in there now. It's okay if this extra is selected in here, as long as we're not changing anything with the group itself. Okay. So now I'm going to go Generative Fill and click Generate. And let's just see what happens. It's going to take its time doing its thing. Lucky for us, Generative Fill has gotten really good at fixing things. See how it totally added a person in there? And these are some awesome things that you get. So I'm going to choose this first one, and then I'm going to try again. I'm going to Generative Fill the Generative Fill. Okay, so sometimes it's easier to do a little bit at a time. Let's see if it'll work. And I don't want to add. I want to minus. I'm just, again, selecting around where I want it to be, and the contrast isn't that great, so it's totally messing with the selector, which is fine. And if this just doesn't work, then we go to a different plan. Actually, you know what? Let's try that. And then I'm going to, again, go Generative Fill and see what happens. We might have to merge down on the other one. It might not work as well if we don't, but let's just see what happens. Yeah, see, it just changed the person. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go all the way back to there. And I'm going to... I'm going to merge the layers. So right click right click on both those two layers and click merge layers. You don't want any of the other two because they'll merge everything. So just merge the layers that you have selected here. And then let's try this again. Actually, I wonder if, yeah, you know what? Now that this is selected like this, and since we have this dude here, we have him in our indestructibles. Let's go to our remove tool and just see what happens within this area. No, I don't like that at all. Let's see what happens if I do that. All right. So we got the majority of that out. This is the fun of playing with. See, there we go. This is getting better. This is the fun of playing with AI. So I'm just using the remove tool to fix up. And what I've found with the remove tool is sometimes the smaller the spot, the better it does to fill it in. So I'm just fixing lines. You can see we've got just a hair. Oh, I bet you that's part of the, oh yeah, it is. Okay, no problem. We won't worry about that. Let's see. There's that one and that one. Okay, so I'm just going to fix it on this one. I just have to be careful. Okay. So I'm going to fix this because that's not supposed to be there. All right. And in the grand scheme of things, if you're looking at it like this, you're not going to tell really that this was fixed. Okay. Now you could, if you wanted to, you could go in and remove all these people for the photo. I didn't, but it can be done. You can just, again, use either the remove tool or the generative fill, but sometimes it doesn't do a good job. It depends on the situation. Sometimes I find the generative fill works better than the remove tool. Sometimes the remove tool works better than the generative fill. I cannot explain to you why or what that is about. I'm just going to collect my quick selection tool because I didn't quite get his foot. And then I'm going to go to generative fill and let's just see if it fills that in. So on the original edit that I did for my client, I didn't take a lot of these people out. She didn't request it, so I didn't do any of that. But I'm just showing you how you can see how nicely it works when it wants to. So it looks like we got the cleanest one there, so I'm just going to use that one. And I always like to merge them down immediately. It's a very destructive way to work, but it makes it so much easier. So you can just go in and grab the person or the thing that you want to cover up and go generative fill and click generate. You don't have to put any prompts in because you don't want it to just fill in what's behind there. And how are you going to describe that in words? And you don't really need to. It just does it. There, just like that. You can pick the one that you want that looks the best. I think it's one of these two. I think this one is the one I like. And actually, I should point out, wrong button. I should point out, if you don't like what you see, if you get something you don't like, you can regenerate. You just click this generate button here and it'll regenerate 3 more variations. All right, so that's how you would get rid of people in the audience. If you wanted to, like, you can kind of see here how you know, it's a little bit brighter there. Let's just see if we can fix that with generative fill and make it blend in more to the area. Looks a little bit brighter, but then again, you know, we have up here where it's got bright ones too, so it's not completely out of. But you see how it kind of blends it in a lot better with different ones. So you can do that as well. Okay, so then Yeah, that's totally fine. Okay. Actually, we can even just turn those off. So now I have 2 generative fills, and I'm going to merge those. Now what I want to do is I want to move this guy. Oh, actually, hold on. We're going to go down here and take out this guy's foot. That's going to be a little more precision. So I'm going to use the pen tool, and I'm just going to go along here. And I'm going to guess a little at where the foot is, and where the shorts of this guy stops. But I think that's a pretty good guess. And in Command or Control Enter will give you the marching ants. And we're going to generative fill that one too. And it should do a pretty good job almost immediately because it's a pretty simple background that it's pulling from. Yeah, that looks pretty great actually. And you can just pick the one you want. Now this, you can see it adds like a thing to the trophy. That's not cool. You got to make sure that you preserve the realistic details of what you're trying to create. So that looks pretty good. And anything you could need to clean up, you can either use the remove tool to, you know, blend it in a little better, or if it missed something, that sort of thing, or you can use the clone stamp tool, that sort of thing to make it better. Okay, so now that we have that, we have a gap there, right? And we will need to clean that up a little. So we're going to move this gentleman over here into that gap. So how we're going to do that is we're going to select the object selection tool, and we're going to give it a minute, and we're going to select the baby, I guess. Let's zoom in here a little, and we're going to select him. It is selecting this kid's leg, which we don't necessarily want, but it allows us to grab the majority of the selection to start with. So now we're going to go into and click the quick selection tool, and we're going to have to create 2 separate selections because we don't want anything from this guy's leg in there. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and refine this edge here. And again, it's going to be a little bit tricky, but we're going to try and make it work as best we can. If you find that your tool is making these lines jump way too far, just make your circle smaller. That helps. It doesn't make it quite such a big jump. And then, oh, here, I'm going to make it really small for this little finger hand area. So we're trying to keep this section out. I'm not so worried about this string, but we can refine it later if we need to. And then I'm going to add this part of his hoodie. And I'm going to add this hair part. We want to take as much of him as we can with. We don't need this little marching ant area there, so we're going to click on the minus button and we're going to take that out. Okay, we don't need this. We're going to take that out as well, but because it's in our selection and we had the minus, it's adding it's subtracting from our selection. So we click on the plus because we want to add it back in. I know it seems backwards, but that is exactly what it's doing. And I don't want to take this guy's shirt with me, so I'm going to minus the selection, minus the shirt. All right, so we got that, and then we have his diploma here, which it's selected, or I don't know what this is actually, this frame. So we're going to deselect that from our selection as well. Although, honestly, dude's going to be standing about here. So this, if you did keep that selected, it would probably be hidden behind this guy. So it wouldn't necessarily matter if it was selected. I like to keep my selections as true as possible just in case, because it's really a pain in the ass to go back later. Okay, so now I want to cut it off here. because I don't want this guy's leg in it. That's not going to be cool to have a random leg sitting there. There's that. And then let's try and get rid of this. Arg. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it like that because it'll be okay. And then I really want to minus this. And I want to add in these jeaned legs here. And I'm going to include the background because I'm actually going to include a lot of the floor too, because I want the shadows and everything. I don't want to screw around with the shadows too much. Okay, so we have our selection and we're going to put him on his own layer, which is Command or Control J. All right. So now this is where our second layers of these kids come in, because if we just move this one over, it's going to look really weird if we have that not selected, right? He's going to sit in front of everybody, and it's basically because he's sitting on top of this layer. You know, it's like a sandwich. You put the bread down and then the cheese and then the mayo and stuff like that. You're going to only see the cheese and the mayo. You're not going to see the bread underneath. Well, this is our bread. So this is the other reason why we take a second layer and take a sample or whatever, cut those guys out and put them on their own layer so that we can have them sitting on top of this guy. So he's in the background. Okay. So the only thing that's going to kind of screw with this is I want to go back to where he was. I don't want him to be taller than he actually is. So he's right around this level of the seats, although these are closer, so it'll probably be a tiny bit lower yet. So we're just going to do the best we can, and we're going to maybe be about like that, I think. Yeah, that sounds good. So now I know that you're thinking he's still there. We'll worry about him in a second. First, we want to blend in our guy here. So for the most part, the problem we're having is he's sitting in front of this guy's leg, because when we cut out our top layers, we didn't do any of this bottom stuff, right? So now there's two ways we could go about this. We could turn him off and we could cut another layer of this, and then it would sit in front of the guy. I guess, do you understand what I mean there? And I should clarify, we could do the exact same thing that we did with these first three guys to make sure we have them on their own layer. We could make another layer of the bottom half of this guy plus the trophy to then put it up here with these three, and then it would sit on top of this layer and therefore hide the appropriate parts of the feet. Like this covers part of the trophy, this covers part of this guy's leg. So you can do it that way. I'm going to show you a different way. Neither is right, neither is wrong. You just do what you feel you want to do. So I have the guy selected, and then you can go opacity down so you can see where everything stops, right? And then you can do a pen tool selection of the area that you would erase, right? So we're going to take everything on, and you remember you have the guy layer selected, and you're going to erase that. So Command or Control X will take that piece out, and that automatically makes it look like it's behind the trophy, right? So, and in this, we're going to do this guy's leg as much as possible. I'm going to go all the way down there, and then I'm going to go all the way over here. Now, it's not going to cut any of this guy's leg off because we have the other guys, the guy behind that we're moving here, we have that layer selected. So Command or Control Enter gives you the marching ants after you've selected your selections, and then Command or Control X will take that out. Now, then you can bring up your opacity, and you can see that it looks a lot better. Now, the only thing that I would say with this that is maybe a problem is if you don't have your guy standing in the place that you want him to be standing in and you have to move him, you now have this issue where he looks, if you have to move him over this way, then you've got this gap that you just erased, right? So I think he's in the place where I want him to be. I don't think I need to move him. However, that's where creating another layer and putting it on top would allow you to keep everything, all your information that you cut out from here, and move him around as needed till you find the spot. And then if you need to move him again because, oh shoot, I forgot about that, then you can without worrying about this being destroyed. Okay, so you can do it either way. Just make sure you do your due diligence as far as if that's where you're going to put him, then that's where he needs to stay. And then, of course, we have this area here where his pants are. That is a gap because there is a pair of shorts covering it over here, right? So then we need to go in. We're going to take the pen tool again, and we're just going to kind of create a bit of a pattern. It doesn't need to be fancy or anything because we're just going to fill this in. Okay. So, really this edge is the only one I'm worried about because that's the only one where it'll be showing, right? So, and then we're going to try a generative fill, and all it's going to put is something in that little area that we have highlighted there. We're just going to click generate and let it do its thing. And wait for our variations. And that's not too bad. It's a little blurry along the edges, I have to say. That one's actually the best one I've seen. And you can, like I said, you can generate versions till you find the one that you like. But this one basically completes the doesn't make him look like he's lost a leg. Or missing a big chunk of his leg in there. So now that looks pretty good. If you ignore this part of it, he looks pretty good there, right? So now we're going to merge these two layers. This is the pant and the guy that we just filled in. So right click, merge layers, or Command E if you want to use the keyboard shortcut. Now our last objective is to get rid of him, and I'm gonna have to clean up these people in the background because I can't create people out of nothing yet. I guess it could change, I suppose, but as of right now, and it looks like I have a piece of leg here I need to remove as well. So what I'm going to do is select the background layer. This is the foot from one of the guys. Sometimes it's hard to tell where the feet are coming from. I believe this belongs to this guy. Yeah, so I believe this shoe, this random bodiless shoe and leg are... And in here, it's going to be a little bit tricky because we don't really know where the sweater ends and the leg begins, but it's so black that nobody will notice anyway. It will just look like it's supposed to be like that. And again, Command or Control Enter gives you the marching ants, and we're just going to generative fill. Now, previous to generative AI, you would take... It was a really excruciating process, to be honest. Okay. It's just giving an error, which is fine. we'll just do it again. You would use the clone stamp tool, and very, very precariously, just hold on. I don't know why it's having an issue. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna move on from that one for a moment. Okay, so now we're going to take and remove this guy from the floor. We're gonna start with just one piece, and we're gonna make sure to get his shadow too, because it's going to be weird to have foot shadow on the floor with no person standing there. So we selected what we want to get rid of. Command or Control Enter gives you the marching ants, and we're going to go with Generative AI and click Enter. And then we're just going to wait for it to do its thing. All right, and then we're going to zoom out so we can see our floor. That actually looks pretty good. I kind of like that one, and we can just fix this little white piece up. Okay, then I'm gonna merge those layers again, and I'm gonna just take the remove tool, and I'm just gonna go along this white piece to kind of clean it up there. There we go. Now look, he's got no legs, and it looks really funny. Okay, so now the more difficult part is going to be getting rid of him. So what I think I'm going to try and do, what do I want to do here? I think I'm going to create a safety layer. I'm going to object selection tool, and I'm going to select this guy, and this guy, with his diploma and his leg. And then I'm going to refine that selection by going to the quick selection tool, and I'm going to add in this part. Let's get rid of that. I don't really care about his thumb, to be honest. I'm going to have to go back and remove that. And I want to add in this part of the shirt and the hoodie. So for the most part, as long as you have everything you want to keep inside the selection, that's what matters. You can go back in and fix things later if you need to. And I wouldn't worry too much about things like that. We're not going to actually change anything in this area, but it's just to make sure that we are keeping everything intact that we want intact. So Command or Control J, we'll put him on a new layer, and we're going to add that to our group of indestructibles. Okay, so now I'm going to try this and see what happens. First, I'm going to see if I can get rid of this person here. Kind of. You know what? It might be easier to do it this way. Object selection, I'm going to select. Oh, you know what? I know why. Because I had the wrong layer selected. Let's try selecting him, and let's just remove that to begin with. The problem with removing or using generative fill on people is it tends to just change the people, like it did in the very beginning. So let's just see what it does here. Actually did a pretty good job. I'm impressed. And This is the only one that really has people intact here, but I'm going to remove them anyway, so I don't really care about that. But this looks pretty good. We're going to take care of these pants in a minute. All right, so let's just merge those two. And then this is going to, every time I think that generative fill or remove tool or whatever is not going to work, then it does work, and it makes me eat my words. So, you know, that's just how it goes. See, it didn't remove it. It just made it the same. So we're just going to refine this a little. I'm going to straighten out that edge of that frame. And we're just going to select around here. Command or Control Enter. And then we're going to generative fill that pant leg. And depending on the size of your selection and your internet speed and all that stuff will depend on how long it takes to. Oh, I know why. Never mind. I don't think we needed to do this at all. It's in our selection here. Yep. Okay. So let's cut it out of our selection. My apologies. Okay, so it's on. Remember, we made that selection of these people so we could keep this indestructible, and it kept a pair of, or part of the pants. That's why it's showing up. Has nothing to do with anything we just did. So I'm going to just clean this up from the indestructible selection that we have. And because there's marching ants around what I'm cleaning up, it's not going to affect anything on the outside of, like, I can erase in here and it doesn't do anything, but as you can see, it's erasing the pants. So I'm just using the eraser button. You can see there's leftover here. That's fine. We're going to leave those marching ants up. We're going to switch our layer selection to the bottom layer, and we're just going to use the remove tool and clean it up with that. And you can just use it to blend in, but that looks pretty good. You can fix it a little more if you would like to. There's a tinge of blue there. I'm not terribly worried about it. You'll never notice because it kind of blends in with the floor. So you could leave these people here, but I think they're way too distracting for what this lady wanted. Plus you have this little thing here going on. So let's just see if we can remove some of these things and make it look a little more normal. Let's just see what we got going there. Okay. I'm gonna see if we can remove some of these bigger objects. When I say bigger objects, I mean all these people. I know they're not objects. All right, and it's going to create its kind of own background there, and we can change that after, but for now, I'm just going to get rid of the people, and then we can fine tune it after that. Okay, so that's actually not a terrible background. It kind of looks like it belongs there, although you can tell it's kind of weird and wonky. Let's see if we can clean it up a little. Maybe get rid of this thing. Oh, it was there. Never mind. Because we can see the shadow here, but I don't know what this is about. I feel like this could be different. Like it doesn't need to be there. That could be fixed. This could be less of a wonky board. And in this area up here, looks like there's something weird going on. All right, so we've got that. It looks much better, right? So there you go. There is your finished cutting out of everything. Now, the only thing I would maybe do is go in. Oh, actually, the other thing we need to do is fix this foot. We've got a foot here we need to fix. My apologies. Let's fix the foot. So again, just the pen tool around here. Not exactly sure where the sweater ends because it's so black. which is fine. So that's what I do. When I'm done, I go through the whole thing and I see where I missed fixing things, what I need to do. Let's just see if the remove tool will take that out for us and make it into a nice, yes, it will. Yes, it will. It makes the sweater look really big, and I'm not sure that that's great, but it's not terrible. And it's because it's black. There's no detail there for the AI to really know what to do with it. So you can fix it if you want. You can try generative fill for the rest of it. See if that helps. It's having some issues today. Okay. So here's a good example of what to do the tedious way. So we took the clone stamp tool, and Option or Alt will let you sample. It'll give you this little, and it'll let you sample. Oh, here. Where's my... Oh, right, because of that. Current and below. Let's go all layers, and we're going to sample. And I'm not sure why it's not letting me change it. Sometimes it's just something completely silly. Why it wouldn't. That's why. Because this guy is... Okay. So I need to turn off all these layers so that I can fix this sleeve on this layer, because this is where the sleeve is sitting. Okay. Sometimes you gotta play find the layer. Okay, so I also kind of want to fix this. It doesn't need to be fixed. It's hidden, but it bugs me, so I fix them. I'm going to see if generative fill will work on this one. Sometimes if your internet isn't connecting properly, it'll just not let you do what you want it to and give you errors. Okay, perfect. That's much better. And we'll have to clean this up a little bit. But there it worked. Okay, so I'm going to merge those two layers. And then what I want to do is I want to fix this. I want this sleeve not to look so weird. I feel like his sleeve kind of goes there like that. Okay, and then let's generative fill that as well. Yeah. It's having conniptions. Okay. Then we're going to do this. Actually, no, we're going to keep that so we don't clone stamp over anything important. And we have a nice big area here to select from, and I'm just going to do this. And that's actually probably okay like that. Blend this in a little bit. Deselect so we can make this a little more blended. We can even grab the remove tool, and it was just using the clone stamp tool there. Perfect. I think that's great. That's much better. Okay, let's turn the rest of these boys back on. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Except I think for that. Yeah, okay. So now what I want to do is one by one, I'm going to select layers, and I'm going to take the blur tool, And it doesn't need to be at full strength. It can be at like 60%, whatever you think you like the best. And we're just going to go over the edges because cutting out objects like this tends to make sharp lines. And we don't want to do that. And I'm doing this one person at a time because they're each on their own layer. If I work on different people while I'm on this guy's layer, it will not work. So we're just blending this in to make sure that it kind of all looks cohesive and blends in properly. There is this little piece of blue here that I think I would like to, I think this guy is the one. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to just get rid of that little piece of blue, blend it in with the black. Perfect. Okay. So I think this guy is then good. We've blended him in. We're going to go to the next one that we took. Let's see, where is that one? Ah, that guy there. Now him, I don't know that we really need to have him. I'm just going to see what's going on over here. Whoops. Okay. I am going to turn him off. Yeah, there's extra there. Okay. So we don't really need him. We don't need to keep him because we didn't do any damage to his thing. And we don't really need to keep it for any reason because we didn't destroy anything. Now I am going to fix this up a little back there. I'm going to go on this layer and see if I can't fix that up a little bit. Okay, then we're going to go to this guy and we're going to blend him in, going back to our blend blur tool. Now you don't want to do too much. This might be a little strengthy. And you just want to keep it along the edge. You're just blending in that edge so that it looks like it blends in with the rest of the image. All right, if you zoom out, then you have that. Now I want to maybe just defringe this a little, and this is the long way to do it, but there's not that much to do, so I'm okay with this. I just want to take that yellow fringe off of there. He must have been standing against a yellow wall, and this is why I don't like using green screens. Oops. Because the green then bleeds onto clothing. And that's just a whole thing to fix. There is a right way to use a green screen, and most people don't use it. So you can see a little extra there. So I prefer my clients just stay away from them. Okay. That looks much better. And just a slight bit of blue there. Okay, perfect. And then we're going to go to our next layer, which is that right there. And we're going to take our blur tool. I'm not sure. Is it this or... I think that's this guy. We're just going to run it along there. I'm not sure if this is part of it or not. I think that's the other layer. I think that's the other layer too. Yeah. You can see it kind of blurring in there. Blending in a bit. All right. And there you have it. We have a finished product. At this point, I would go through it and just see if there's anything else. You could remove these back people, this sign. You could take this yellow piece out if you wanted to. It does draw the eye to the side a bit, but that in essence is how you use AI to move a person. And it's a little bit of trial and error on all fronts, but it can be done.